So here we have, for kids that are in first year in Scottish high schools, in the foreseeable future we'll be learning all about the gender imbalances in our society and how feminism is an essential. No fucking justification for this part. I can talk about gender equality and feminism and what it means to me. Alright, okay. When a baby is born, parents are told what sex their baby is. A doctor looks at the baby's body and decides if the baby has a vulva. The doctor says the baby is a girl. If the baby has a penis and testes, they say it's a male. Mostly, this is easy for the doctors to decide, but for some babies it's not so clear cut. But of course, even the wording here, it's copy and pasted from the stuff that they're teaching to primary 2s. Yes, that's right. Primary 2s are learning all about gender and how babies are conceived. In some graphic detail, it has to be said, for that age range. But anyway, digressing again. It's already alluding subtly to the gender spectrum BS that's snuck its way in with the implementation. They don't even need to come right out and say it. It's so obvious that that's what they're alluding to, because they're not affirming the actual definitions. Instead, they're playing it safe by suggesting that a doctor looks at your anatomy and then makes a decision. No, that's what you are, regardless of what you feel in the inside. That's irrelevant. You are what you are, and your anatomy is just one way of being able to tell that. And then, of course, it then goes on to say that mostly this is easy for the doctor to decide, because it's all about split decisions, assignments and decisions, and sometimes decisions can go wrong. Assignments aren't concrete. But for some babies it isn't so clear cut, and the doctor might decide the baby's intersex. Well, it is either intersex or it's not. And procedures can be done at birth, occasionally, to mend said problems down below, if that's where the problems are. Believe in equality of all people? Do you believe that women and men should be paid the same money for the same job? Do you believe that girls and women, boys and men should be safe in their own home? Do you think boys, men, girls, women should be of the same amount of work at home? Do you think that women and men should be equally involved in bringing up their children? Here we fucking go. Get them when they're young, yeah? Equality. Oh, this will be good. Equality is about making sure that every person has the same chances to make the most of their lives and talents, and of course they did have the same chances to achieve whatever they wished to do, or at the very least there was nothing stopping them from attempting to make something of themselves, until Sturgeon became First Minister and she conjured up out of her arsehole a bunch of far lefty feminists that have one agenda in life, and that is just to see Scotland turn into some matriarchy with all the other little oppressed minorities beneath them being pandered to every given notice. I don't actually know where the end game is for a society that's fully controlled by people with this sort of mindset, but one thing is abundantly clear: it's not going in the direction they proclaim it's going. It is also the belief that no one should have poorer life chances because of the way they were born, where they come from, what they believe, or whether they have a disability. Well, I hate to break it to you, if you're born in a poor part of town, you're going to have less of a chance of getting to a better high school or college or whatever than a kid that was born in a rich family. And as much as that might very well be unfair, that's life. Equality recognises that certain groups of people, like women and girls, oh for fuck's sake, the LGBT, people with disabilities, or people from black and ethnic minority communities have experienced discrimination. Oh, they've experienced discrimination at one point in time, so that justifies you proclaiming that this is still a common theme. And I love how white women have managed to shove themselves in with all the other little minority groups within society, and as a means to distance themselves away from the evil oppressors, when they would be equally as guilty in that regard if we're going to go down that route. You're no fucking angels, you're not special. Feminism is a movement to bring about equal rights for women. Feminism is about making sure women and girls can be free to be who they want to be. And of course, before Sturgeon and the miraculous revamp of feminism in Scotland, girls were just hell-bent on becoming whoever they wanted to be, but they just weren't allowed. Society made it impossible for them to be able to achieve their dreams, until Sturgeon swooped in on her unicorn with her Rainbow Brigade and that beta males in the SNP, all tuned up in the culture training that they've been forced to endure, and they all know what to do now in order to make sure that this sort of inequality never comes around again. Why are children being taught about fucking feminism and the need for feminism and the plight of the woman in society that doesn't exist? And how is this going unchecked, as I've said a few times now? And let's get some facts from the feminists. Feminism is important now because while in many ways men, boys and women and girls have the same opportunities, there are still important ways in which women and girls are discriminated against. Oh, here we go. Because this is justifying their existence as a movement. Women make up 51% of the population that are in a minority in positions of power, like being an MSP. Only 1 in 3 are women. Oh, fucking hell, that's just blatant discrimination. There can't be any other reason other than discrimination. There's a multitude of reasons I can think of off the top of my head, but hey, I'm not a feminist, so of course none of these reasons will come close to the reason that you so dearly wish it was. All the movements out there, for some reason, feminism seems to take centre stage in and amongst all of this shit. Imagine my shock. And it goes on to say that feminism is a movement to bring about equal rights for women because they don't have equal rights currently. So, you know what I mean? And who does she think she is where she can get away with saying this shit and expect to be taken seriously? Why is she taken seriously for the most part by anyone? Is beyond me. Right? It goes on to say down here as well, do you consider yourself to be a feminist? This is questions that need to be considered by the class, by the way. Can men be feminists? What's feminism got to do with boys and men? Can you imagine a gender equal world? And what they mean by a gender equal world is equal representation, because that's the only thing they've really got to go on in terms of proving that inequality is a persistent issue. And of course, they talk about the he for she movement, which is the UN Women's Solidarity Movement for Gender Equality, which involves boys and men creating a gender equal world, because it's up to us to pander to the bullshit belief that you are oppressed and treated unfairly in society. Here's another example of how the SNP, and this is a sign Sturgeon does all the time, they refer to young people. So to the untrained eye or to somebody browsing the headlines, they think that it's referring to both. But then it doesn't take a genius, as they are pretty blatant about it the further down you go. A status of young women, and then of course girl guiding attitudes, nothing to do with boys or men included, and that's all this ever boils down to, because this has nothing to do with men or boys, does it? It's everything there is to do with girls and women, as usual. Still on the topic of feminism, what else would it be? We need to know all about exploring gender inequality. This means talking about the experience of men and women in our society and thinking about what feminism means to young people today. It shouldn't mean fucking anything because it's irrelevant, but it seems to be something. It's a movement that is desperate for a need to exist today, hence this garbage. In the second session of 2, we will look at sexual harassment with a focus on how this can be experienced in school, or the rampant increase in sexual harassment in school. This has only ever become a serious issue that needs tackled immediately since Sturgeon came into power. It's very convenient, isn't it? We will look at sexual harassment with a focus on how this can be... some good information about these matters from the perspective of young women in Scotland, because of the work of girl guiding, etc. The reports are here if you would like to have a look. No, I would not like to have a look at reports from the perspectives of women who could quite easily have bought into this ideology and shares your worldview, because that's all it would take for convoluted and fake statistics and studies to be brought to the table, would it not? Justification for a supposed problem in society really do range from shit to verbal excrement. Some jobs don't have equal numbers of men and women. This somehow implies the gender balance. They go on to say that flexible working and support for parents equates to women still doing most of the childcare. That somehow indicates sexual discrimination and misogyny in society. Women in work, the facts that feminists love to bend and contort to suit their own gains. Share the infographic and encourage discussion. What stands out? Well, what might indicate ongoing issues with discrimination in the workplace? Well, I don't know. Maybe why don't we establish equal playing field first of all, and acknowledge that it's not discrimination. Class debates. Oh yes, the debates that need to occur in order for you all to become ardent feminists like passionate Miss Guru. The gender equality conversation you have had over the past few sessions. Your indoctrination. Has it worked yet? Explain that you will read out a statement, blah blah blah. The proposal was this: we will know that there is gender equality when women run half of our companies and countries and men run half the homes. The levels of insanity here are astounding. Half the countries and half the companies. How the fuck does the amount of people being equally represented across the whole world, in this case, equate to true equality, considering in order to achieve such a feat, half of the people in this country, look at the SNP for example, were forced in there via quota systems. Do you think that's fair? So you've got a bunch of people in there that have no place being there, bar what the fuck was in between their legs, and of course it looks good on paper, looks good in terms of representation, but in all else there's people that were probably more suited for that job but couldn't get it because of their genitalia and their fucking gender identity and all the rest of it. But yeah, in the context of this, however, it really shows the level of equality the more equally represented everything is. I mean, are they off? What is wrong with these people?